One of the best values in plastic terrain is here.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com, and I'm very excited to talk to you today about this Rampart plastic terrain. Now, I did a lot of promoting for this about this time last year for their Kickstarter. I had some resin copies, some prototypes of what they were promising to folks in plastic. Now it's out. They fulfilled their Kickstarter. I think for the most part, maybe the fantasy side of it, it hasn't been sent out to backers yet according to the update. But we've got the sci-fi version of this terrain in here. It's in plastic. It's been done. Plastic injection molding in the EU, the only other company besides GW that does it. And I mean, I'm looking at the stack of sprues on my desk right here, and this has got to be one of the best values for terrain out there for the price today. So here's their website. All this is for sale right now, and you can really kind of get a better idea of this kit, how much terrain you get in it. Now, obviously there's multiple kits here, but we're gonna put it all together and lay it out on a 22 by 30 kind of space just to show you kind of what you can do with like Kill Team or Warcry. But I mean, check all this stuff out. It's incredible. Obviously, and here's some key selling points on it for, you know, if you're looking to pick this up for your games or like a store, or you missed a Kickstarter or something like that. It's going to work with 32 millimeter, 28 millimeter, you know, figure games right here. You can kind of tell by these bases the approximate size to what you would expect. Trust me, it's the right scale. I've had this stuff. I've had the resin stuff. I'm about to put together the plastic stuff to show you guys exactly how cool this is. It's everything you would expect it to be. Gothic terrain, you know, sci-fi elements to it. It comes with a ridiculous amount of bits that you can customize with all these like little extra pieces here that you can kind of see in the picture, like all the extra buttresses and the little Gothic stuff and like dead trees and all sorts of different things right here. But maybe more importantly is that it's modular, and you can use the little sprues that come with it to kind of click-clack it together like Legos, or magnets. Okay, so for real though, this is a silly amount. It could also be an illegal amount of terrain for this price. I think it's $69. I don't even know where to start with this. There's 12 of these large sprues and 4 of these kind of accessory buttress sprues right here that form up this kit, right? So, I mean, you get multiple kits, and I showed you a lot of this stuff with the Kickstarter itself. You know, we had the plastic versions. So there's some single walls, there's some large walls, some 2-story stuff. So I think you get 4 of those. You get some corner pieces right there. You get some floor pieces right there. And we're going to look at the detail here in a second. Some more buttresses, some statues, and some stairs. This is like where the silly amount of bits come into play here. So all of these little torches and cathedral tops right there, or belfries, whatever they're called. Gargoyles, all sorts of silly stuff. Larger 2-story supports and 2 sprues of those. So you're already looking at a ridiculous amount of stuff right here. And then here is the accessory sprue that comes with like some dead trees and some more buttresses and belfries and things like that. But let's look at this real quick, because I don't exactly know how all those pieces go together quite yet, but this is stuff that I've worked with in the past, even though it was in resin. So let's take a look. I showed you this in resin last time, and here you can see the detail on this stuff is great for being plastic. I don't want to say it's not like super detailed, but it is better than the Chinese stuff that GW, you know, puts out for sale, that they have made in China and puts out now. I think this is better cast than that quality stuff right there. I mean, look at it. You can see all of the extra detail. It's not that chunky, you could almost argue junky, Chinese plastic. This is a really good quality multi-part plastic injection sprue that has really good solid crisp detail on it, more so than what you would expect from something that's terrain, something that's going to be sold in bulk. And I think that's really important to take note of right here. Now also, you'll see this is new from what I showed you last time. These are the little pegs that you can cut out, and you can use them to attach everything together, which we're going to show you once we do that. And I want to show you how the magnets work on this real quick before we start assembling things. Okay, so I wanted to show you how easy it is to magnetize this stuff. Now, I only have this many magnets, so I'm not going to be able to magnetize everything and show it to you on the tabletop. But I did want to show you how literal easy this is. So you always got to check your polarities, right? Don't be a stupid. Sometimes I mess that up too. I've never done that with a $2,000 Warlord Titan. But all you got to do is literally just push the magnet in, and the tolerances are that tight. These are that precise that you don't, in a lot of cases on these holes, have to glue these things in. It's that crazy. Now, you probably should glue them in, but you don't have to. So here we are in the game room, and I want to show you just how cool this terrain really is. Once we sat down with it, got to tinker with it, got to see what we could set up. I set up one of these tables. We're going to set up another one here in a second. But I just want to show you like how crazy cool the tolerances are on this for just being straight up plastic terrain. So you can see this gap right here, and that's because it's not glued, to be quite honest. But they have all sorts of little different pieces you can put. If you mix the Kickstarter, then you might not know that you can plug these little gargoyles and things on the front. You can do these little torch lights and things too. Now remember, none of this is glued, and none of this is glued on the side, so it's just slot in and slot out, which you can do, and you can keep it modular and stuff if you want. And a good rule of thumb might be to put the gargoyles on the outside, so you know which side's the exterior and which side's the interior, kind of depending on what the setup and things you want to do. They also have these little bits of trees that weren't in a Kickstarter that I didn't really know about, that are really neat because they top, they go right up here on the top where you can see that in a lot of cases there'll be these holes right here. So that's really neat. And then they have just these little throw pieces too that will just go down kind of anywhere across there, and you can paint them up as trees, as rotted out, as alive, whatever you want. And you can put these little gargoyles, the same gargoyles that go down here, you can put them up on the top too. But check out how close the tolerances are on these things right here. Like, I literally just pulled that off. It's got the pegs on it, which is kind of something else we should talk about here too. So this is the peg system. Now I'm going to show you one here in a second with actual magnets in it. But a good rule of thumb is to put the pegs into the pieces that are going to be kind of being inserted in the slots, and that way you can actually glue those in and you don't lose the pegs in the holes in the slots here. Our buddy Tim here, OBJ Tim at Spiky Bit Studios, told us that, and I was like, hey, that's actually a great idea, because stupid me, the very first thing I did was almost lose a peg down the hole right there, and he's like, yeah, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, yep, that makes sense. So don't be a stupids, don't lose your pegs. But other than that, you can assemble it so that you either do the slot and peg system. In a lot of cases, you don't even have to actually assemble the sides here because the tolerances are actually so good, which is kind of crazy. Now, let's take a look at how crazy it is with magnets. Of course, you can also magnetize your terrain as well if you really want to. It's actually not that hard. A lot of times the magnets just slot in and you don't even have to glue them. Some of these we did have to glue, but for the most part, you really don't have to, and you can really, once you get the polarities right, you can really just kind of snap and literally put all your stuff together. It's just like Legos. It's kind of crazy how remarkable this really is right here. And for the most part, they're pretty sturdy. You just have to, kind of just remember what's what, and don't be super forceful with your terrain and stuff. And then at the top, you can just slot in your peg hooks and things for whatever you want on top, like your little belfries or your little gargoyles and things. But for the most part, as long as you're super not putting a bunch of force and things on it, I mean, it's going to be just fine for putting your models on there and everything else like that. So it's really, really cool. And yeah, it'll take you a little while to kind of clip everything down, put it all together, either using the pegs or using the magnets. But to basically future-proof your terrain and make it truly modular, like, I think that's just an investment worth it at this point. One other thing I wanted to touch on about the quality before we get to showing you the tables is here's a section from the new plastic terrain right here, and you can see it's very crisp. I mean, it's not like the most crispest piece of terrain ever in the history of ever. For being terrain, it's very good quality, better quality than most stuff we see from any manufacturer out there, and definitely better than the stuff I showed you at the beginning of this video. This is the same section from Rampart's Kickstarter. Now, this was sent to us, it was 3D printed and then cast in resin, and this was a prototype that was sent to us to help promote their Kickstarter. Now look at how similar quality these two are right here. They literally, I actually think this is cleaned up. The plastic version is cleaned up a little bit better, but
the resin is going to be a little bit more detailed, but I mean, it's still very, very close to the actual quality and the crispness on the resin that they sent to us a year ago. So I'm very impressed by this quality, this level of quality that they continue to kind of exhibit and show everybody, hey, we're big boys, we got this going on. So here's a quick little table we set up, and you may recognize the dimensions from this. This is 22 by 30 inches, so it's the same as Warcry, the same as Kill Team, what you would expect here. Now it's kind of set up, this table, Tim set this one up. It's more, you know, kind of 40K-esque with like the larger chunks of ruins and things, and not kind of more scattered as far as like something like Warcry or Kill Team would be. And I'm going to set that up here in a second, but I just kind of wanted to give you the scale for exactly what you're getting in here and exactly how much stuff kind of truly comes in here as far as modular builds and different things can go. Now, this isn't even all of it, believe it or not. There's still 2 big bins full of parts with like floors and different columns and things, and then these little extenders, which I think are pretty neat, that you kind of put in there between the pillars that kind of gap things out a little bit and make it a little bit bigger. So that really helps out when it comes to Warcry and Kill Team. So I reconfigured it for a little bit more layout with the walls and everything, and I think this turned out great. I gotta admit, I had a lot of fun just kind of click-clacking and popping things off and putting things back together and kind of learning the ways that all of this goes together. It's really interesting, and I think they did a great job with it as far as like a design philosophy goes. And then I threw in a little bit of scatter right there because there'll be some halves of the columns that you don't need and some baseboard and stuff. But I mean, overall, everything seems to fit. You can see the Primaris Marine right there, and you got the Deathcore's Men and the Redemptor Dreadnought there in the back, and everything looks to scale. And I mean, for a Kill Team or a Warcry size board, I think that's a perfect price point for the terrain that's modular, that you can literally set up a bunch of different ways. This probably should have taken me 5 minutes to do, but it probably took me about 20 minutes because I was having so much fun with it. It was really fun. It's I think I had a childhood breakthrough moment right there. So that is, I don't know, I think I showed you everything. Showed you price comparisons, showed you all the different layouts that I feel like are relevant for this, some of the different magnetizations, some slots. Man, I don't know what else we can show you. I'm really smitten by this stuff. So check it out. Rampart Terrain, $69 is the base set. You can get larger kits and different kits and upgrade kits and all sorts of different things out there. But this is where you start, and you kind of, sky's the limit from there as far as your terrain table goes. So that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and of course turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.